I don't want to see the David fight. I think David is a heavyweight, and I think David's legacy is he actually needs to move up. And Usyk would be like the fight that would like give him the type of recognition that he needs. He needs to stop trying to suck down and beat up on smaller men. His legacy is a heavyweight. Crawford, he can do whatever he wants now. If he wanted to retire, he could do that. And if he wanted to just pick easy fights to pad the stats some more, he can do that too. We already know that Charlo's probably wouldn't stand a chance against him. Nobody else who's a big name at 160 or whatever. He don't need to go back down no more. That's a waste of time. And it's also bad on his body too. We saw what happened to Roy.
David Benavidez didn't mince words when he was asked about Terence Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
The WBC light heavyweight champion described Crawford's performance in just 4 words that fans quickly picked up as the perfect summary. For Benavidez, Crawford's rise into boxing history wasn't just impressive, it was proof that the Omaha native now belonged among the all-time greats. Crawford had stepped into the ring earlier this month against the Mexican superstar, and many wondered whether moving up 3 weight divisions would finally be too much of a challenge. Instead, he shocked the sport by dethroning Canelo to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship. The fight took place at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and by the time it was over, the judges' scorecards all leaned toward Crawford with scores of 115 to 113, 116 to 112, and 115 to 113.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
From the opening bell, Crawford set a tempo that Canelo simply couldn't match. It wasn't just another victory, it was a defining moment in boxing history. Crawford became the first male fighter ever to hold undisputed titles in 3 separate weight classes, solidifying his legacy. At 37, the fighter from Omaha put on arguably the greatest performance of his professional career. Benavidez, who has made his own mark as an unbeaten world champion, made it clear that Crawford's feet belonged in the conversation of greatness. The way Crawford had not only risen through weight divisions, but also defeated one of the most dominant fighters of the era stood out as something boxing had rarely witnessed. Benavidez pointed out that climbing from welterweight at 147 pounds all the way to super middleweight and then winning all 4 belts was unheard of in the sport. He said, "I want to give Terence Crawford a great congratulations. He's reached in the history of the sport what very few do. He's one of the greatest of all time. Not only did he go up 3 weight classes, but he beat one of the best fighters of his generation. I don't remember ever in history that someone has come up from 147 pounds and won the super middleweight world championship. Not only is he a great fighter, but you could tell from that fight just how much of a dog he is."
There's no way. Crawford just got the biggest win in his career and one of the biggest wins in history. He doesn't need to go out there and risk. But it is too big, too strong. We don't want to see a champion do so much and accomplish so much and then end his career with a bad choice, a bad fight that he shouldn't take. I wouldn't do it.
With that win, Crawford became a world champion in 5 different divisions, and the whispers about his next move began almost immediately. Some speculated he could even go back down to middleweight to challenge Janibek Alimkhanuly, the unified WBO and IBF champ. If he pulled that off, he would be competing for a title in a 6th weight class, something almost unimaginable for most fighters. Meanwhile, Canelo found himself at a crossroads. At 35 and with a 4-fight contract under Riyadh's season still in motion, the Mexican legend was expected to return in early 2026, yet many fans and analysts wondered if retirement might be the smarter option. Losing his undisputed crown to Crawford raised the question of whether his time at the very top had passed.
They're gonna say, yeah, you fighting, but you avoiding the monster. You understand me? That's gonna tank the rest of his career if he keep trying to fight. Well, it's tough to say because he's made enough money that he can retire retire. He really has nothing else to prove. We saw him go up. He did like Bud. He tested himself all the way up as far as he could go. He won the light heavyweight title, then he lost to B-Ball. So that shows that the light heavyweight was his ceiling. And that's good enough. Really, right now, he got nothing else to prove. You know, I mean, of course, if you keep fighting, people gonna demand you fight the monster because both you guys are Mexican. But to me, you probably shouldn't do that. You understand me? It's probably not a good fight for you at this point, for real.
As Crawford celebrated his historic win, more voices chimed in with their take on the fight. Hall of Famer James Toney was particularly blunt in his assessment of Canelo's showing. He didn't see it as a close contest or even a respectable defeat. In his view, Canelo had been completely dismantled. The Mexican champion wasn't just beaten, he was broken down piece by piece by the sharp and relentless Crawford. It was a damning verdict on a fighter who had once seemed untouchable at super middleweight.
Matter of fact, not only did they lose him, he got destroyed basically. Took him apart.
Do you feel like he's gonna want that back? Do you feel like
if he's a true fighter, a true champion, he gonna want it back and train twice as hard and do what it takes to get the job done. Basically that's what comes down to right there. 100%.
Tony's comments came as speculation about a potential rematch between Canelo and Crawford began to swirl. Some believed Canelo might want revenge sooner rather than later, especially since the WBC had reinstated him as their #1 contender at 168 pounds. If he went through with it, Canelo could attempt to become undisputed for the third time, a feat few could even dream about. While Tony focused on Canelo's downfall, former light heavyweight champion Sergey Kovalev looked ahead to Crawford's future. Kovalev, who had once shared the ring with Canelo himself, believed there was only one fighter capable of causing serious problems for Crawford. That man was Dmitry Bivol. Bivol, who had achieved his career goal of becoming undisputed at light heavyweight after defeating Artur Beterbiev earlier in the year, stood out in Kovalev's mind as Crawford's most dangerous potential opponent. He said, yes, it can deliver the problems for Crawford with Dimitri's style, but Crawford showed in the last fight that he can adapt for any weight, any opponent, but it is more interesting to see this fight.
I want to quickly ask you a couple of questions. Crawford, Spence. I know you watched the fight and you spoke about Crawford. How good is Crawford?
Crawford is amazing, not just good. He's amazing, and
he said the same thing about you.
Thank you, Terence. But I think he should be in the book for
is that good?
How to learn boxing. You know.
Really?
He's a very good fighter. Yeah, I like to watch his fights.
Pound for pound, #1.
Yeah, probably he is now because he is undisputed champion in 2 weight classes.
It's crazy.
He's a great fighter, yeah. While Kovalev sized up Crawford's possible rivals, another legendary figure weighed in on a different debate altogether. Oscar De La Hoya, the former champion and current promoter, offered his view on whether Crawford should be considered better than Floyd Mayweather. The discussion had sparked after Canelo himself suggested Crawford might have surpassed Mayweather, but De La Hoya wasn't convinced. In his eyes, Mayweather was far superior. He pointed back to Mayweather's fight against Canelo, where Floyd completely outclassed the young Mexican. According to De La Hoya, Mayweather hardly took a clean shot that night, and the ease with which he dominated showed his technical brilliance. Crawford, in contrast, may have been more aggressive and versatile, but De La Hoya felt that Mayweather's skill set was on another level entirely.
And who would, because Canelo after the fight said that Crawford is way better than Floyd. You know Crawford, you know Canelo, you know Floyd. What do you think? Who would win in a fight?
My man. I have to disagree. Because Floyd Mayweather toyed with Canelo. Like, he literally toyed with him. He didn't get hit at all. Not one time. And Crawford, yeah, he's more of a fighter, boxer. Mayweather's more of a boxer. But I have to disagree. I think Mayweather is much more superior than Crawford. Not just because he beat me and it was a close fight, whatever, you know, or that I stepped in the ring with Mayweather, but I really feel that technically Mayweather's a better fighter.
This comparison reignited one of boxing's favorite pastimes, debating generational greatness. Mayweather had built his reputation on unmatched defense and tactical perfection, winning titles in 5 divisions while staying undefeated. Crawford, on the other hand, was carving his legacy through versatility, resilience, and the ability to dominate across weight classes. The question of who was truly superior might never be settled, but it highlighted just how special Crawford's career had become.
Who do you think's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because he's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era. And Crawford this.
Even as debates about greatness raged on, talk about Mayweather's own future returned to the spotlight. Retired since 2017 after his win over Conor McGregor, Mayweather still hadn't entirely closed the door on the sport. Boxing analyst Dan Rafael weighed in, suggesting that if Mayweather did come back, it wouldn't be against the elite. Instead, he predicted Mayweather would choose safer, less dangerous opponents in order to protect his perfect 50-0 record. Rafael expressed little excitement at the idea of a Mayweather comeback. For him, there was no appeal in watching the legend fight past his prime matchups or novelty bouts. He even dismissed speculation about a possible rematch with Manny Pacquiao, calling it completely uninteresting. His stance reflected the sentiment of many fans who believed Mayweather's career should be remembered for what it was, not for unnecessary returns.
The difference obviously is that Manny was out of the ring for a lot less time than Floyd Mayweather was. That's significant. I mean, I hope this doesn't lead to some stupid discussion of doing a rematch between Floyd and Manny, because that I have like literally less than zero interest in that.
I remember what you said. I can't remember the words you said, but you said you'd rather set yourself on fire than watch that.
Exactly. I mean, I would say right now it's idle talk, and Floyd sort of spitballing, seeing what's out there. And this whole thing they announced with this Mike Tyson Floyd Mayweather exhibition bout. The way that was announced was very clear to me that, they may have signed to do the fight, but it's contingent on them actually having a platform on which to do it that will pay them money. And I don't think they have a deal yet for anybody to show it. So it's still a matter of if that actually will take place. So I'll believe it when I see it. And frankly, I don't see there being a lot of interest in that. Not because they're not two incredible names and two all-time legends and two great fighters and, have tremendous amount of fans and history in the sport. But we all know what Tyson's got left, and that's absolutely nothing. If they announced Mayweather versus Tyson before we saw Tyson get completely exposed by Jake Paul, I could understand there being interest. But he went in the ring with Jake Paul and had 8 rounds where he couldn't do anything. I know that was technically an official fight. So what makes you think he can do anything against a Floyd Mayweather even 8 years in retirement?
Back in the present, Crawford's star only continued to rise. From dismantling Canelo to potentially moving into even more historic territory, his career had become the defining storyline in boxing. Whether he pursued middleweight glory, entertained the thought of facing Bivol at light heavyweight, or even considered staying put at super middleweight, he had proven he could adapt to any challenge. Meanwhile, Canelo was left to make decisions about his legacy. Would he attempt to rebuild at 168 pounds, seek revenge against Crawford, or finally walk away from the sport after years of dominance? For a fighter who had conquered so much, the question of whether to continue carried just as much weight as any fight.
I would like to see Canelo retire too. I don't think he will though. He's got a multi-fight deal with Turkey Al-Sheikh. It's a lot of money on the table, and he's a proud champion. So I could understand him not wanting to end on that note. But you can see Canelo getting older, and I'm not just talking about ring. I mean, you can see it in his face. For the Netflix special behind the scenes, you kind of see the age, you see the wear and tear. The man has been fighting as a professional since he was 15 years old.
20 years.
He's got over, it's a long time to be getting hit with 8-ounce and 10-ounce gloves. Even if you take it well, and oftentimes the guys that take it well, they show it more because I'm absorbing a lot of shots and you giving me praise for absorbing them shots, but them shots take a toll. I don't know how much longer he should keep fighting. And it's not because he can't fight anymore. He's still one of the best fighters in the world. But you get into the hunger conversation. You get into the total punishment that you got to add that stuff up when you start getting older. Like, okay, man, you know, do I still need to do this? He doesn't need to do it other than just his love for it, because his mantra is no boxing, no life. So I don't know if he's going to be able to walk away right now. His legacy is secure. I think he's one of the greatest Mexican fighters that has ever done it. I think he's in the great category and conversation. We can break down a resume another day, but I think that given the way that he fought and given the way that he bowed out, I think you just got to just leave it right there and give him his respect. I would like to see him maybe take one or two more and call it a day, go enjoy the fruits of his labor.
From Benavidez's glowing praise to Tony's harsh critique, from Kovalev's cautious warning to De La Hoya's bold comparison, and finally to Rafael's doubts about Mayweather, the boxing world had no shortage of voices reacting to Crawford's historic achievement. Each perspective highlighted a different piece of the puzzle, painting a picture of a sport in transition, where legends were questioned and new icons were being crowned. At the heart of it all was Terrence Crawford, a fighter once doubted for lacking marquee opponents, now standing tall as one of boxing's greatest ever. With every division he conquered and every champion he humbled, he etched his name deeper into the history books. The only question left was how much further he was willing to go.